Hello everyone, welcome to the tutorial of Apache Spark in this big data world, where Spark is considered as a mandatory tool in your kit if you're trying to become a data engineer or data scientist or anybody who is a professional aspiring to learn the basics of the big data analytics using Spark framework, or anybody who is trying to become a Spark developer. So let's see. Before we actually move into the actual Spark tutorial, let's understand what actually is big data in this current IT world. Basically, we classify a data set or a data as big data if it is of a huge quantity. This may be of different types of data sets in the form of structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data sets, etc. And also, we consider the data set as big data if it requires lots of processing power in order to deal with it. That is, our vCores hardware or our computation power in order to read, write, or process such huge amounts of big data. And also, we classify data as a big data if it is requiring lots of storage capacity, which is nothing but our memory space or hard disk. As far as I've seen, nowadays the data is rapidly generated for analytics purposes throughout various different companies on a daily basis. We perform analytics on those big data to increase the revenue of the company. Yeah, which we will be discussing later in our slides. There are three important V's that are very well known and considered by everyone in this IT industry for the big data. So those are volume. The big data is always voluminous in the form of gigabytes, terabytes, or petabytes. The second V would be the velocity. The velocity is nothing but the speed at which we can read, write, or process such huge amounts of data sets. And also, the third V would be the variety of data sets that can be stored in the big data on our hard disks. So, a few of the different varieties of data sets are raw, structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. So, what actually is raw data? Raw data is nothing but which is not processed, and it is in the initial stages directly from the logging system or directly from the customer base. Then comes structured data sets, which is having a definite schema or the fields, which is very similar to a relational SQL database or a table. It has a perfect schema throughout the records. And then comes unstructured, which is not having a definite schema or fields. Yeah, that is just random JSON blobs or random huge strings in which the unstructured data sets are stored as. And then comes the semi-structured data sets, which is a bit widely used, which was a bit widely used a few years ago. The semi-structured data is nothing but this comes in between structured and structured and unstructured, which is nothing but a combination of the above two. So let's go through some of the examples that we can see around us, where where we can apply the concept of big data and how the big data is taken advantage of. So, first and foremost, that comes into our mind is the discovering consumer shopping habits. That is used for advertisements. That's what our Amazon, Flipkart, or eBay does, along with all the social media apps. What they do is they collect the information of users' usage and show the ads, which is very much relevant to them, so that the customers goes ahead and buys those. And second thing would be personalized banking and marketing sectors. So, this is in order to find out what users like, what benefits from they get from the bank, and the banking sector or the banks can come up with their own personalized campaigns for attending or attracting those customers, even more. Third one would be making customer experience more friendly with the product. That is, we can consider as a remote for our set-top boxes for our example. Please bear in mind, that we will be going through this example throughout this tutorial. We will be referring to this example for understanding purposes of various different concepts of Spark and big data. So next important thing and widely used would be monitoring health conditions through data from wearables. So As an example, we can take a patient that can be wearing a small device on his or her body in order to constantly record the vital information of their body parts such as heart functionalities, or their blood sugar or their insulin levels, which can be monitored in real time by their doctors. We can continuously upload those information of a particular patient to the cloud, and his personal doctor might be taking a look at it 24 bar 7 in order to maintain to serve the patient. So next thing would be live road mapping for autonomous vehicles. So that's what our Google or Apple Maps does, for example. And yeah, this is one of the main, main advantage, or a main domain where the big data is taken advantage of. That is the streamlined media streaming. That's what our a classic example would be Netflix and Amazon Prime in order to recommend the watch content to their users, predictive in order to predict what movies or what series they might like, and that just pops up in their list. That's how Netflix became famous. Netflix is pretty famous for their algorithm, which serves this purpose. And the final thing would be the predictive inventory ordering.